Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another comic book review, and we'll be wrapping up Black History Month with final three things: a comic and two movies. So, I really want to revisit the Killmonger 5-issue run. A nice little short run, kind of origin story, or the prequel, if you will, to the events of, because kind of coincide with my Rise of the Black Panther comic that I recently did a review on. Check that out on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. Smash that like button, all that stuff to show your support. So this is a nice little parallel, but this is like showing like the events, what was Killmonger up to leading up to that. So yeah, kind of a prequel, kind of an origin story. And I think, I think it's like as solid as an updated origin story to Killmonger. And this and the Rise of the Black Panther comics, you know, obviously they got inspiration from the movies, because like no joke, they made like Killmonger look like a splitting image of Michael B. Jordan. And I honestly gotta say, personally, I think Michael B. Jordan's like one of my favorite black actors, uh, honestly, of all time. It's like if there's any celebrity you would think that you probably will get along with and probably will be like best friends with, I honestly believe that I can legit be like best of friends to Michael B. Jordan, because he's like just as much of a low key nerd as the rest of us. Because I follow him on Instagram, and dude literally had like outfits designed after Naruto, and his costume, at least one of the costumes he wore in the Black Panther movie, he personally wanted to design after Vegeta's look. And if you look at it and you compare it to Vegeta's little vest thing look, it's like right off the bat, and it's like awesome. It's like this dude is like legit. He's like this cool ass dude. But anyway, the Killmonger, written by Bryan Hill, art by what's the gentleman's name? Juan Ferreira. So yeah, you see at the run parallel to like the movie here, it's like him beating the hell out of Black Panther to usurp the throne. Because if you've seen the movie, you already know like his grudge against like not only with T'Challa, but the Wakandan people, at least who follows T'Challa and his ways, because he does not feel, because at the end of the day, Killmonger just well, he's not wrong. That's the thing. He's one of those villains that he's not wrong, but the way he's taking going about dealing with it is absolutely wrong. He's like wrath and hate incarnate. Uh, uh, so it'll open up at the tail end of him getting his revenge on, like, just pretty much like putting out all his frustrations on T'Challa, because he represents everything like what kind of happened to him. But we then flashback years ago, as he's talking with this kind of a guidance counselor, but it's like could easily be around the same age, at this Massachusetts Institute for Technology. And this is a just pretty white girl, and he sees like an image of her parents. She's talking about how they died in some kind of industrial accident, and you see like a brief flashback of like, yeah, you know, I, you can see like he going through his, minds, like how he lost his parents, but she doesn't know how he really lost. But nobody knows where he's from, truly. So he obviously smart as a whip. Uh, you know, cut like like the best of them. So he got it all. It was like the brains, the looks, the muscle, the athleticism, athleticism. What's wrong with me? You know what I'm trying to say? The aptitude, pretty much. Uh, pretty much like all the markers, and she going over about all the stuff that this university wants you, this place wants you, this humanitarian group wants you, and like, and I like the key things he says that she's obviously not picking up on, because like some white people just have like that kind of thing that just goes over their head, but he's like says these key words like, I'm sure a lot of places want to own me. I'm a fresh graduate. I just got my freedom. The price is low. Tell your marketing departments thanks for the diploma, but they'll need to find another success story. But she like just completely oblivious to that. But then like she says like, you could have just emailed me, all this, like, why'd you even come here and why you look at me like that? And he says like, why you think I'm looking at you like that? So they end up having sex. Then he's just like, still having like he's suffering from obviously PTSD, given the fact that he was a young kid stripped from his homeland by a traitor in Broadway. His name will come up. I'm just going to try to remember him, Dobway. But I'm probably mispronouncing it. But him and Claw, pretty much took his kids after when Dobway and Claw, caused an attack on the borders of Wakanda, causing an explosion that killed Killmonger's parents, and he was like, there, and they grabbed him up. He was unfortunately just picked up by Ndagwe, and then him and Claude raised his kid on, outside of, they ran outside of Wakanda, and the kid had to endure like being, raised pretty much on hating, holding, using his anger as a shield, and like being taught how to use a gun, and being told like people are not going to value outside of Wakanda, no matter if you have royal blood. So you flash back, present, and then like, he's just like, as he's leaving out the door, he looks at the girl as like colonizer. And then this is part where I feel like the panels kind of switch. It seems like in my mind, I was like, did they switch the panels by accident on this one? Because or I don't get this, because it doesn't seem like she heard him, because she was still like half asleep. But then she, as soon as he's about to walk out the door, she's already up, and it's like she's telling him like good luck in New York City and everything like that. And he says see you, and then she acknowledges like, colonizer, what the fuck does that mean? It's like like I'm just curious, like, okay, like why is that panel there? It should have been like, if she heard that, then all the other stuff is superfluous. That part always seemed like kind of weird to me. I did not get that. But then like you see more flashbacks with like him remembering when he got to a certain age, like probably like early teens, where he finally seeks his revenge on Ndabwe. And and like in that way he's pretty much begging for his life as you know Eric pretty much has a gun on him, and he's begging for his life. It's like it was Ulysses Claw who killed your parents. It wasn't me. And it's like, well, you wanna tell me how to kill? You had me steal. You use me. And so I'm just like, I'm just learning what you taught. I'm just I just use what you taught me. And someone like, you're not a killer. And it's like, yeah, I was until you taught me. And he executed him on this bridge. So it's like he been like just going through his life in America. Then it's like it just hate kept fostering over the years. Now he's just like he took his revenge out of in that way. Now he's seeking revenge on Claw. Now I think it's kind of like a maybe at some point like prior to the movie, but Claw, I remember him from like the '90s Spider-Man TV show doing this massive event for like the secret the Secret War event from that TV show, and they had Claw in it, and I think also in the comics as well. No, I don't think it's in a TV show, but definitely in the comics, the Secret War. There was this thing with Claw where he just seems like I didn't know what he was. It seemed like a dude that's made of sound with a sound cannon thing, and he seems kind of like an idiot. I thought he was some kind of dumb robot as a kid, but now it seems like at some point they kind of retcon him to be an actual man with like sound powers that kind of messed up. Some kind of accident kind of messed him up to make it look like some kind of weird looking robot thing from the 50s. Or at least what the 50s probably look like, or imagine what a robot would look like, a humanoid robot. But they kind of really, really changed all that. They still kind of kept it in a way. Cause you see like him in his image was kind of like a little updated version of what he kind of looked like back in like the, from, I don't know, 70s, 80s comics. So now he's gone to New York. You feel like he's, ready. He's smart enough. He learned all he could. He, worked out, and he's still pretty young here. So yeah, he kind of fresh out of high school level, or not? That was Massachusetts. So he's kind of fresh out of college, and he is like, okay, I got this gun, like, I'm ready. I'm going to seek my revenge. And then he gets blindsided by this, team of agents named after chess pieces, king, rook, knight. And they get the drop on Eric, and they take him to Wilson Fisk, who pretty much make sure that nothing happened to Claw, and of course Wilson Fisk doesn't like his stuff to be messed with in any kind of way, so he ordered the team to get rid of him. They turn him loose, only to follow him to his home and have some masked assailant trying to take him out until Killmonger does his Killmonger thing and just, beats the shit out of him and use a broken glass from the window that it kicked in to decapitate the guy. So it was freaking hardcore. And then King walks in like, I never got your name, kid. And it's like, what kind of loyalty, like, it's like you follow me here, and you had one of your men in here to get killed. Like, what's up with that? It's like, that wasn't one of my guys. That was a trial run for him and you. And whoever came out on top, I'll be making a deal with you guys. Pretty much, I'm going to offer you the chance to work with me and my team, and there is a chance that we can get you next to Claw. And it's like, well, Claw works with Fisk, and it's like, how long you think that's gonna last? And it's like as soon as he mentions, like you recall, if you ever watched the Daredevil TV show, you would understand that, you know, working with Wilson Fisk can be fickle sometimes, depending on what you do, can liable you to be praised or killed. And like it turns out like these three have like, you know, superpowers, but very, very low level versions. Uh, you know, King has a low level of telekinesis. Uh, Rook has an healing factor. Uh, and Knight has like minor super strength. Uh, Probably not as good as even Jessica Jones, but like maybe close to that because she doesn't exert like incredible strength to like really like do some damage, but just enough to take down your average uh, big guy. Uh, so he demonstrates this by throwing like using his telekinesis to throw Eric out the window on top of some trash. So they bring him along for the ride. So they're at this club, hatching out the next plan. Now, uh, Killmonger, mind you, he's like still kind of young at this point, so he's not, very. He's strategic, but he doesn't like understand like the nuances, like because he offering like a like the plan is like Wilson Fisk needs these group of people that he has no need for anymore to be taken out, and this is the only time they're in New York together, so they want it done, this very night. So Eric says like, why don't we just like just lie, says Wilson Fisk needs a meeting, get them all together, and then take them out all at once. And Rook's talking about how like there's like a suicide mission. Now they all obviously don't really care for, well, at least Rook and Knight don't really care that much for Eric, especially his ideas, given the fact that they all notice how like he has this like, because it's obvious that he doesn't really hide it, that he has like a chip on his shoulder. He has like some anger. They don't know where it's coming from, but they do know it's gotta be Claw related, because this kid is just like out for blood, and it's like it's like a one track mind, and it's like he's kind of very cavalier about it. And so King has to take him on his like under his wing, pretty much. It's about let him know like what revenge you want to seek out, let it go, because it's not going to do you well. He refers to it. He refers to it as like an old gun. If it works well, you're the deadliest person in the room, but when it doesn't, then it's going to blow up in your face, and it doesn't let you know which one's going to happen the day you use it. And I like the nice. It's kind of like a nice little metaphor to like Killmonger. It's like he pretty much is like, this is how his downfall always ends up. It's like he's deadly as all hell, but in the end, it's like his all that hatred he has is kind of like is hoisted on his own petard, because anybody can just use that against him. It's like temper your anger. It's like there's things like righteous anger that used well can benefit you, but just like a raging inferno, it can just burn out everything around you, including you. And he starts recalling as a child, as he's being like taught by Claw about like being teach how to kill and everything like that, and like this part like made me really uncomfortable. I'm not even sure when they decided to do this, but uh, I slightly believe that they have made like Ulysses Claw like kind of racist, but it's not like overtly, but just undertones of like, you know, uh, just looking down on uh, uh, more specifically Wakanda people, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just like just the weird ways of describing it. Because I think in the comics or like some kind of backstory or something I read where his father was definitely like racist. I'm not even sure if he was a Nazi or something to that effect. But I'm not sure. Like they just probably retcon that to make him like a. Because I don't even remember that Claw was even like a specific Black Panther role gallery, part of his roles gallery, uh, back in the day. Nobody used Claw like that. He was like a hired gun for the most part. Uh, I think he was in like one of the episodes, like part of the Frightful Four in the Fantastic Four, uh, uh, World's Greatest Heroes TV show, which I did like a review on, and it's up on the channel, so you can check it out and my thoughts on it. But anyway, he was telling like it's like renaming. And this is part of what gets a bit racist. He's renaming him like he doesn't want those jungle names. He doesn't. He trying to like call him by his jungle name. He said, and then like I'm gonna call you Eric. It's very roots, It's like it's like your name is Toby. It's Kuta Kente. But he's pretty much like owning the kid, pretty much, and using because like he's supposed to be your father was noble blood, but he's not here anymore. He's dead. Like I pretty much own you now, pretty much, and he's gonna teach him he's pretty much teaching Eric his ways. Now Eric's real name, if you look it up, is Njadaka. I know it's like with a N apostrophe J. I'll look it up real quick because I know it's got like pulled up, but no, matter of fact, his colonizer name is Eric Stevens, but his real Wakandan African name is because his father is Njobu. There, Njadaka. Njadaka. That's his name. Thank you, Bing. So it looks like they've gone with like Eric's plan. Don't have the panel for it, but it looks like they've gone with Eric's plan and wiped out like this conference room full of these kind of like officials that used to work for Wilson Fisk, this money launderer, the international lawyer, narcotics trafficker, and an accountant. They're insignificant, but it's like they must have done something to piss off like Wilson Fisk to order out a hit on them. Because like you never know when like Kingpin's gonna like have no use for you because it's very subtle. As you never see it coming. Because like all of a sudden, like just like in like the Daredevil TV show, the first season, where like those two cops that were working for Fisk, one got like seriously hurt and he's in the hospital, and his partner is gonna go in there and try to spoil alert. for Daredevil, but he's trying to like you know use a pill to kill him in the hospital bed. It's like so you'll never know. It's always gonna more than often it's probably somebody close to you that's gonna like take you out on behalf of Fisk. As always, you never see it coming. So they take him out. Rook has Killmonger use him as like a human shield as their security team try to take out King and his team, and like because his healing factor, Rook is eating up most of the bullets so that Eric can really like get in there and take them all out. So only the money launderer, who's a female, is left alive, and so of course she's begging for her life. Saying like, "I'll pay you. Don't do this." Eric hesitates. So a few times Eric hesitates. Uh, he will do it, but this is like I said, this is early kind of Killmonger. So Night comes in. She takes the shot and takes her out to finish the job. And of course, like they back at like this kind of beach house as like a little safe house where King have them hold up, and like Killmonger, he's holding his glass of alcohol, and he's like shaking, and it's like it's the adrenaline. It's like it's like he going through that car, and it's like you can see it's like he's not at the point of the Killmonger yet. He's still like he's taken lives before, but it's like it's like slowly starting to eventually you'll come numb to it, and it's like because it's been drilled in his head how to take lives by that way and Claw. But he's on his own, and he's not really on his own, but now he's like taking it upon himself to willingly like just off people, and it's like he hasn't not like saw any kind of higher aspirations beyond want to take out Claw just yet, but now he got to do this little side missions until he gets close enough to Claw so he can like take him out. King explains to him about like how he has like a farm that he's gonna retire to soon, and it's very like Ocean's 11, but if they were hitmen instead of thieves. And it's like he's want to like be able to leave his life behind and move on, and he's telling Eric like he has to have something beyond revenge, because you can't let that be your whole life. Then King later on goes to talk to Fisk, and Fisk let him know that we got another assignment. I need you to take out Bullseye. And like of course King says okay. And when he goes back to his team, it's like, we're burnt. Fisk has us going after Bullseye, and everybody know it's a suicide mission. He's trying to get rid of us because nobody beats Bullseye except for like Daredevil, sometimes Elektra, Spider-Man. Well, pretty much anybody who and Punisher. I'm about to say anybody with superpowers, but like he got beaten by normal people half the time too. So like Punisher sometimes beat him, Elektra sometimes beat him, Spider-Man beats him. Don't know if he ever went up against Captain America, but I'm pretty sure he beats Bullseye too. Then like Daredevil very often beats him. So it's like it's not impossible, but you really need to be skilled or have some exceptional powers in order to be able to take on someone like Bullseye. So they know they ain't got no chance in the world. And then all of a sudden you see from the shadows, Bullseye took these explosive like bolos, threw it, and because he did his homework, he took out the healer first, and like and it exploded his head. So now they are like, dealing with this, and Killmonger is like, like I ain't, he's pretty much like, he's going, stepping up. He's like, oh, I'm not afraid of this dude. He doesn't know who Bullseye is. He's never went up against Bullseye. He never heard of half of these people because, like, you know, Knight brings up like Daredevil, and he doesn't know who Daredevil is. It's like, it's just one of those, masked people, and it's like, he not only been out of Wakanda, he's never been in America until like a certain point when you start going to like high school and stuff like that, and then eventually college. But even still, if he's been like, let's say, bare minimum 4 years of college, at some point he would have to heard about these superheroes in New York, because that's where he went. And he didn't. He went to Massachusetts for college, but I'm pretty sure like on the news you should have hear like certain exploits of these superheroes. So I'm surprised he haven't heard of like Daredevil fighting Bullseye or something like that. Uh, but these are the kind of like early years of Killmonger, so maybe news haven't traveled of these like fantastical exploits like Born Again with Daredevil hasn't like maybe happened yet. But Rook is dead, but the other three masters slip past, slip out of Bullseye's grasp. So now, like, this is the last you ever see of, Bullseye and Kingpin. But it's like, if they show their heads in New York again, I will know, and we'll take them out. And so, King decides, like, we should split up, get ourselves out of New York. Matter of fact, and get out of the freaking country. And like, cause if we ever set foot in New York, we're dead. So he hightails off, and then Knight and Eric have a moment because they, she mentions like we just gotta release some stress, and it doesn't have to mean nothing. We just need to like just have this. So they end up having sex that evening, and he tells her about Wakanda, and he wants her to be his queen because he wants to take over the throne. She goes out to try to like says we gotta get like passports to get out of here, and she gotta meet some contacts. And of course, we later on find out the contact she's meeting up with is Black Widow, and she really wants. She's been working for Shield this whole time. It's kind of like an informant for Natasha. And Natasha in this is kind of like I said, it's kind of very, since it's this early years of Killmonger, it's kind of like early years for Black Widow. Because from like Rise of the Black Panther comic that I read, at the end you see like Black Panther meeting up with the Avengers and everything like that. And like Black Widow wasn't among them. So this is pretty much like, before that team up is even happened. So of course she's kind of gruff in this, more so than we're used to. So she pretty much like still need like information from her, because they need King. So now she got to find King in order to get like a new life and everything like that. So she don't want to be looking over her shoulder anymore. But she also kind of want to work for Shield, which I don't understand why they don't want to bring her on. Because I guess like they don't have no value for her in the end. At least that's what's been told. So, the Shield Squad, takes down like Killmonger and holds him up, but eventually, he started to talk with the goddess Bass, the Panther god of Wakanda, and Bass pretty much trying to explain to him, through Bass's wisdom, give up this silly revenge. It's like everybody been trying to tell him to let go of this hate and revenge, and find peace pretty much. And it's like you know uh Eric is not hearing it, and he goes over about like there's no peace, uh and I like these like panels where that comes next, where it's about like you know while uh T'Challa sits on the throne, where was you know where was Wakanda while like our people was enslaved? uh where was T'Challa's grandfather uh when our people uh uh people needed him? And you got a panel of like the clan burning a cross, and possibly with a person on there. Where was T'Challa's father when the colonizers killed a king, and showing like a panel of Dr. King's assassination? And like you mentioned in another panel, where was uh, where were you when like our people are suffering? And he shows like a panel with police beating up on a black kid. So it's like there's no peace. Like Wakanda can do more pretty much, and like I'm gonna make sure they're gonna do more, and I'm gonna take out that supposed king of useless kings. As and he mentions about, I'm gonna bring Claw's blood to you, T'Challa, and I'm gonna drown you in it. He pretty much wakes, then he wakes up, and and then Night pretty much confesses to him that he's like, she's been working for Shield, and they got to give up King in order to don't have to worry about looking over their shoulder. He mentions to her about like she will never own my queen, and you see like a panel of what he envisions, what he hopes to happen, is him on the throne ruling Wakanda pretty much with an iron fist, with her as his queen. Which I really do like this panel. It's like my favorite art. The art is fantastic, by the way, in this, and it's just like the right proportions, and none too realistic, none too simplified. I think this is like a better. Like I like this art even better than the Rise of the Black Panther art from the one I did a review on. I love that art, but this one is like done like exceptionally well, and I love what they did with like like Killmonger and Knight's hair, because kudos to artists who knows how to draw black people's hair, and it's not like always in a fro or like cartoonist locks. It's just like phenomenal. Just like with like Miles Morales video game, where it's like the artist behind that make sure that his like hair look on point. So in issue 4, they are planning to track. They finally track down. Oh well, she's still like trying to talk with Widow, explain to her like they got a plan again, Night, again King. So they tracked him down. They tracked him down in Bulgaria. It's very like in the middle of icy nowhere. And they try to convince him to leave with them, turn himself into a shield, and he doesn't have any ill feelings to Night. It's like she did what she had to do, and he doesn't hold any grudges. It's like any one of us can easily have done the same thing if given the chance. So like I ain't mad at you, but I'm not going. I built life here. I met someone, and even she doesn't know everything, but knows enough, and like they live in peacefully. So he doesn't want to, because he doesn't trust Shield any more than Eric does. So Eric goes off to have a conversation with him, and Knight eventually like secretly hit a kill switch to signal Black Widow and the Shield agents to come to their vicinity, and they get there pretty doggone quick. And so, to solve for time, she holds King's girlfriend, by gunpoint, which is shocking. Like Eric, because that wasn't part of the plan. Because they actually have, because Eric has a lot of respect for King. He sees him as like kind of like a surrogate father, kind of like a father that he probably a better surrogate father that he probably should have gotten after something happened to his actual parents. Instead, he ended up with like Mdawe and Claw, like two of like the most biggest cunts. He had the unfortunate circumstance to be raised by. Uh, uh, but then like the Shield agents descend. Uh, you know, uh, they die. With like by Killmonger's hand, but in the process, King and his girl end up dying. Uh, and Eric just like pissed, and so he like takes them out with an axe, and then like, a badass kind of moment. I'm not gonna front. It was a badass is taking out those guys, and like some smooth with smooth skills and just with an axe. And then but Knight comes in, gun pointing at him, and like she's talking about drop the axe, and I'm like, I'm not done with it. And he's trying to take her out, but she like overpowers him and kicks him down, and then hightails it out of here. And then before King officially dies, he messages to Eric like, I was wrong. Take your revenge, and get your revenge for me. And then Eric then sees this different kind of Wakandan god. He doesn't know who that is yet, but he knows it's from Wakanda. And it's pretty much, really festering and like nurturing that, hatred that it was quelling a bit, because Eric obviously was like he thought he was gonna found his queen, and he found somebody like he respected as like some kind of surrogate father, even though he's not outright saying it. It's obvious that he respects King a lot, and he doesn't treat him like any kind of lower class or something he owned. He actually saw something in the boy that is not to be like used or like whatever. Like saw him as an equal and respected Eric. So he takes King's keys and goes to this cellar where he finds all these weapons. Pretty much like half the arsenal of the Punisher, pretty much. Then like a year goes by, and Eric's pretty much like the Killmonger at this point that we know. He breaks into Knight's London home, and Knight's not really her name, but I just easily remember Knight. I think it's like Vanessa or something like that. I can't recall. And he mentions to her like he has her sister hostage and by his people, and if you don't drop the gun, I can make sure that she dies. So she drops the gun, and like he tells her that he wants her to, you know, pretty much break into Shield's mainframe to steal any records that they have about Wakanda and bring them to him. So she does, and all the while, uh, Eric is pretty much being visited by this new goddess, and she doesn't let him know who she really is. We find out by the end of the issue who she is, but she pretty much like again, once again, just telling him about like about Bass is like not a true god kind of situation. And she's like Bass is not doing everything that she can for Wakanda. Uh, 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 and then she, in being like a god, she can be able to sense all the gods. And she's like, since we have some company, like what? And then like you see like Bass just out of nowhere, like like just singing Undajaka end this, and it's like and then like he breaks down, and it's like I think like I like this moment too, where he just breaks down and he's just not getting it. The man's not getting it. He's so full of like just hate and just bitterness on how his life turned out, and it's like the domino effect from his parents dying and then being taken in by the very killers responsible, and then living outside of his homeland and living like pretty much like just the way Wakanda's part would view it, in the wilderness of like any place else that's not Wakanda or even Africa, and he's screaming like why do you protect them? Where was you for me? Kind of situation. It's like he's just like bawling, and it's like you weren't there for me, but you want me to like not seek my revenge on them. Like what? Why? And it's like he's just not getting it. He's like he's like just so blinded with like anger and bitterness. It's pretty much, you think like people always say like Professor X and Malcolm X is Professor X and Magneto is pretty much like based off of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And I gotta say, I think that can also be applied to T'Challa and Killmonger, being the fact that Killmonger is just like by any means necessary kind of thing, because he wants to do. Not only he's just like a hurt kid, at the end of the day, but he's also had to be there to witness the injustices inflicted on our people, and it's like Wakanda has like the resources needed to be able to not have our people go through that, but also fight back. But that's pretty much not how, like, that's not Bass' way, and that's not the Wakanda way, and that's not the T'Challa's way, but it's like that's Killmonger's way. And it's like that's his mindset, and that's all he wants to. That's all he wants to hear. And you see like this, like he has like the movie mask that he dons, like like a very almost like saber-tooth tiger kind of mask in a way, but his like, or at least like I think his way of seeing like a panther, a more savage panther. And so Knight hands, this is in a church, Knight hands Killmonger the data, and he just breaks it. And it's like she flips out, like went through all this stuff to get that, like it's like why would you do that? So like I can like just have people so have all these SEAL agents think like you betray them. Oh, and I like this other when he requested her to get this in the first place, he walks out of the room and like he mentions to her like, You could have been a you would have been a queen uh of a royal nation pretty much, but you chose the life of a slave, and slaves do what they're told. And it's like, you know, man, that's just like that's like a gut punch to any black person, you know. That's just like, if you get on, that's like a quickest way, especially when another black person telling you that. That's the quickest way to like, just like really, that's like a big ass knife into like the in the guts. And so now they, he's caused, Shield to think she turned against them, and they're gonna immediately descend on this very spot. And I think it's very apt that they had this kind of battle in a church, because he doesn't view as like the West God as Western Jesus as their God. Wakanda's God is you know like uh like this chick, and Bass, the Panther God. And just like I mentioned, it was like a year ago at this point when I made a discussion video about what kind of movies with black people that should be made that has nothing to do with our pain and suffering, and tragic history. And like one of which is something that's akin to kind of like God of War, or like or like like Clash of Titans, or anything like like Norse or Greek kind of pantheons. Black people had gods too before the colonizers came to Africa and put upon Jesus into our lives, that kind of permeated to our lives. Not saying like I don't believe in Jesus. I'm just saying that it's kind of like the same thing they did with the Vikings, because like Vikings had Norse gods until the not Quakers, but it's like the priests of the time kind of started baptizing some of them, and talking about like a one true God kind of situation. And it's like black people had gods too. And check out that video, so so you'll see what the gods that I'm referring to, because we have a God of War, a God of the Earth, a sky god. There's a lot. So like I want a movie like that. So reflecting that before the colonizers even met us, we had our own pantheon of gods too. And like this whole thing with Africa that isn't like utilized, at least not in the right way, that has nothing to do with like pain and suffering that was dealt upon us when the colonizers came with their slave ships. But anyway, the Shield agents descend. Killmonger single-handedly just took them all out in quick succession. And at this point, like, Knight is pretty much pissed, because he, Killmonger just pretty much admitted, like, I already killed your sister. It's like, she's been long dead. Like, just cold-blooded at this point. He's a Killmonger at this moment. And, like, she's trying to take him out. And now that he's, like, a year of training, he's built up, like, a lot of muscle. And, he's just, like, just a better killer and strategist, and everything like that. Throughout that whole year, he's been upping his game, and now he's pretty much like took her out and just took his blade and and pretty much stabbed her through the chest. And as she's laying there dying, she witnesses this female goddess looming over Killmonger, and she's, because she there's moments where like Eric is witnessing like Bast from afar, and like Knight every once in a while is like, what are you looking at? And like, I'll tell you later, kind of situation. But this is the first time she actually sees what he sees, as he's laying there dying. I guess she's like passing over at this point, so she can actually see like a spirit plane. And so Killmonger just sets off an explosion, taking out the entire church, leaving like Black Widow completely pissed because she's showing up at pretty much the last minute, and she doesn't know who was the cause. So like it was left, questions left unanswered. So it ends with just like the moment where in like the Rise of the Black Panther comic, where he meets up with T'Challa, and T'Challa like, oh, you're my cousin. Oh, let me bring you back home, and they bring him home, and then you see like a mural, like a one single mural that's only a single image of this particular goddess, and you finally get the name is Killmonger, and it's pretty much like Wakanda's devil in a way, and that's the only way you can like probably categorize it so you can understand. And she was the one who's been fostering Killmonger says, pretty much using him as like a vassal or like a herald to rise up and beat back the Panther god Bass, who pretty much like became kind of like the god. As Bass is god, Killmonger is the devil, and she's trying to usurp Bass's station as like Wakanda's god. So pretty much like how it ends. It ends with like the whole events with him, just like in the beginning of issue 1, him beating up T'Challa. Obviously he lose, but it was it's a nice little origin tale rise and of the Killmonger and his like trials and tribulations, trying to get from where he started from where he ends up as like the true Killmonger. But yeah, I'm curious to know if you ever read this. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on the Killmonger 5-issue run by Bryan Hill. But if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend you checking it out. It's like a good read, especially if you're a Killmonger fan. If you're a Michael B. Jordan fan, definitely worth a read. And especially it's like a little quick thing. It doesn't really need to be like as epic a kind of like a thing. It's just like nice little intimate like a bubble of Killmonger and his like his thought process of what he went through. But yeah, I will see you guys next time for another comic book review. Probably be the end of March before I eventually get to another one. But yeah, I will see you guys soon. I got 2 more movies to get through tonight. So yeah, see you soon.